Game day in Pittsburgh.
New England, Pittsburgh at long last. Week 15 in the Steel City.
It's all of us together versus them. For me, it was always our voices, our terrible towels, our energy that made the difference. Always win that next play. Win that next down.
This game is really big. The Steelers feel that they need to make a statement today.
They know who I am. Let them know who you are.
This is what we've all been waiting for.
Let those Patriots hear you. Let them know that it is game day in Pittsburgh.
He's been a sack. Cameron Heyward.
Wait, that's what you gotta have.
It's Williams. This place is going nuts.
Tonight on the Mike Tomlin Show, Coach explains why Big Ben didn't go back into the game against the Raiders until late into the fourth quarter. I talked to All-Pro Cam Heyward about the challenges the Patriots bring to Heinz Field tomorrow, and we catch up with Steelers legend Heath Miller. All of that and so much more as the Mike Tomlin Show starts right now.
Here we go. This pass is caught and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's been that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber.
Hello and welcome to a brand new edition of the Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missi Matthews. Well, last week certainly didn't go as planned as the Steelers lost yet again in Oakland and failed to increase their lead in the AFC North. The team will now spend the remainder of their season looking over their shoulder at the rest of the AFC North division. Technically, we still control our path to the playoffs if we win out against the Patriots, the Saints, and the Bengals. The second-place Ravens play the Buccaneers tomorrow and then travel west on a shortened week when they play the Chargers next Saturday night. Baltimore finishes their season against Cleveland, who, believe it or not, still has an outside shot to win the division. Of course, that would take both the Steelers and the Ravens to fall apart at the seams. But before we look ahead, let's look back at the loss to the Raiders with Bob and Coach.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. The good news, you're right here in a situation where the Steelers still have the division lead with 3 games left, and they're all big, of course, at this juncture. But the bad news, of course, it's a 3-game losing streak, and all of those games, Coach, have been winnable games. I just want to go back to the situation with Ben Roethlisberger. That was very much a trending topic. He came back. You said he was medically cleared. I guess the question is, why did he not come into the game earlier?
Yeah, there were a lot of things going on with Ben at halftime. He sustained a rib injury in the first half. We were trying to get him evaluated. It was a process. Once we got the x-ray, it's kind of a dated piece of equipment there at that stadium. Even at the end of the x-ray, we weren't able to read the x-ray very clearly. So we weren't able to definitively determine what it is that he was dealing with. We treated him to the best of our ability on site. And after a conversation of all the necessary parties involved, we decided that he would go back out and be available in emergency-like capacity if necessary. 1, because of a lack of information, and 2, we had to see if the treatment provided him, was able to make playing for him possible. So that's what transpired. Obviously, because of the lack of information and things that I described, playing him under those circumstances was not something that we wanted to do, but we were willing to do, provided, we felt like it was necessary.
So you guys communicated the entire time. I mean, you're on the same page in terms of when to come in there. So hypothetically then, if you'd never lost the lead, he would not have returned in that game.
No, because of lack of information, all things being considered and less pressed, we didn't want to put him back into the game because of those variables.
Yeah, he comes in, you guys get the lead, and that's one of the more disturbing things. Your defense, twice in the fourth quarter, gave up long touchdown drives, which is becoming a recurring theme. What was the problem in that situation? I know Derek Carr put some dimes in there, there's no doubt.
We got to make plays on the ball when given the opportunity. Respect what Carr did. He made some serious throws, much like Phillip Rivers made some serious throws. And 2 Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks we know, but we feel capable as well. We haven't been getting it done, and that's the reality of it. And and it's all of us. And we got to look at all the components of it. The positions that we're putting guys in strategically, who we're asking to do what, and players and coaches are part of that, man. We've had a good week in terms of at least addressing that element of it.
At the end of the game, clock management always comes into play. What you do, it's all basically your feeling about your team. If you had to do that all over, would you have stopped the clock earlier than you did?
I probably wouldn't have. I was more concerned about stopping the guys, to be honest with you, especially after they ran, I think, to no avail on first down. I knew that incomplete passes potentially were going to be a part of the process. As always, I want to kind of give our offense the feel and the ball if we get to that point with a timeout. I think that opens up a lot of things that aren't open to you when you're not holding the timeout, areas of the field in which you can work. I think that you're really limited when you got the ball and no timeouts.
It's a big game obviously coming up. New England is in town. Steelers very much involved with them, with a lot of teams as we go right down the stretch. When we come back, head coach Mike Tomlin will talk about the Patriots and the challenges they present. Missy, back over to you.
Thanks, Bob, and we all remember what happened last year at Heinz Field against New England, and I know you'll be asking Coach later if that game will serve as any more motivation for his squad heading into tomorrow's matchup. Coming up next, team captain and defensive tackle Cam Heyward talks about the Steelers' defense.
The best defenses are on the sideline. I think we just have to get back to playing our brand of football and playing 60 minutes plus.
The Steelers' official mobile app brings your game day experience to a whole new level. The app features a new game center full of stats, drive charts, and video highlights. Following the game, watch live press conferences and video interviews. Download the Steelers' official mobile app for free today.
You got everything you needed, though?
I got everything I needed. As long as they're happy, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's what matters the most.
Really.
Stephon Tuitt took it upon himself to support those in need by helping families buy groceries this holiday season.
I came from the same background, single race household, and I was the oldest of 4 boys, so I had to be a dad figure very early. And I just want to be able to I understand the struggle, I understand everything that you go through, and some of the things I went through in my household, no child should see, but with that, it helped me become the person that I am today, and that's why I wanted to do this and just send a lending hand out before Christmas, because I know this is a real crunch time to be able to do some of the things that you want to do. So if I could help out just a little bit, I hope this is the little bit that could make your Christmas a lot better.
I got a 2, so that's a lot going on.
Give me a hug. You're doing a great job.
I know,
You're doing it. Sometimes you gotta get a hug. Come here and get close. You're doing a great job. You are. All right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you just saw defensive end Stephon Tuitt buying groceries for families in need this holiday season, and that is just a small glimpse of some of the great things that our players are doing out in the community. But someone needs to set that example, and time after time again, that player has been team captain Cam Heyward. For the 3rd time during his career, the Steelers have selected him as the nominee for the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award presented by Nationwide. All 32 teams nominate a player, and then that winner is announced the night before the Super Bowl. Heyward is the stalwart of Pittsburgh's defense, an all-pro who delivers on the field as much as he does off the field. And as a captain, when the team stands on the laurels of victory, Heyward is there to bring perspective. But more importantly, when the team is down and searching for answers, Heyward is right there to bring perspective. Cam, do you even take time to think about the fact you guys were riding this high on this 6-game winning streak, and then you go to this 3-game losing streak where nobody is at where you probably thought you were going to be at this point?
I really don't think too much about it. I'd like to stay in the present where we are on this losing streak, and understand that we got to get out of it. We have to be more cognizant. We have to be more accountable, and we just got to get better at our technique. It's showing up at the end of games, and we look forward to changing that.
Whenever you are dealing with a losing streak, does that almost bring the team closer together, or do you have to worry about maybe some finger pointing because you are in a situation where things aren't going how you want them to go?
With this team, you don't really have to worry about that much finger pointing. I think it's more of guys just antsy to get to the next game. but we have to understand that we have to clean up stuff before we go to the next game. And it requires us to be honest with ourselves, where we point the finger at ourselves and say, what am I doing? Am I getting better in my technique? Am I responsible enough and accountable enough that I'm doing my job so I don't let the other 10 guys down? So we just stress that and then get ready for the game as well.
What has been the most frustrating part specifically for the defense these last 30 games?
Just that we've had the lead, and as not only a defensive player but a defensive captain, we have to keep the lead. When we get the lead, we have to think we have the game intact. We don't have to score another point. All we have to do is get off the field every time. And then the turnovers have to be a big point of that, because the best defenses are on the sideline. And I think we just have to get back to, playing our brand of football and playing 60 minutes plus.
The last time the Steelers beat the Patriots was your rookie year, 2011. What is it about this team?
They're a technically sound team that goes out and performs for every game. They have history. They've won a lot of big games. And then they have a really good quarterback and really good pieces around each other and a great coach. So, you have all that success, and they've had the success over us lately, but, that's not what we're thinking about. It's a new game, and we understand that, we respect what they've done, but it doesn't have to be what happens in the future.
Is the key getting to Tom Brady and trying to not let him get into that rhythm that you see time and time again?
Yeah, I think it's got to work between the front, getting pressure on them, but then our back end has to hold up, or in a sense where we got to get the receivers out of rhythm. Gronk's a big part of their offense. We got to, throw multiple bodies at them. We just got to make sure, there's not a lot of, rhythm in their offense where they're running the ball, they're throwing the ball. We got to get them behind the chains, and we got to make them accountable for it.
Coming up next, we preview the New England Patriots.
Heinz Field, baby, let's go.
This fall, we're hosting a few get-togethers at Heinz Field.
Touchdown, Antonio Brown. How did he do that? Here's a big rush, and that is Cam Heyward with yet another.
Come on by and join 68,000 of your closest friends.
Touchdown, Juju Smith-Schuster. The Steelers win the football game.
And what a game.
For ticket information, visit Steelers.com.
On Wednesday, as part of the continuing social justice grant program, the team presented a check to the Veterans Place of Washington Boulevard for a total of $15,000. The money included donations from offensive linemen Al Villanueva and Dave DeCastro, as well as a donation from the Steelers organization.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber.
It's hard to believe that Tom Brady started against the Steelers in that 2001 AFC Championship game at Heinz Field 17 years ago. At 41 years old, Brady still has it and is still playing at a high caliber. Last week against the Dolphins, he threw for 358 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. But even with that stat line, the Patriots still lost, thanks to what is being called the Miami Miracle. But this does feel oddly familiar because last year around this time, the Patriots traveled to Pittsburgh the week after losing to the Dolphins. But let's not worry about that right now. Let's look at this matchup in front of us tomorrow. So let's send it back over to Bob and Coach to give us a preview.
All right, Missy, thanks. New England comes to town. That's always must-see TV. Once again, it'll be on tomorrow on KDK TV, late afternoon, and New England, they are always a challenge. And I'm just curious from this point of view, take me back to last year. I know you live in the present, but will last year serve as any sort of motivation going in? Because that game, based on today's rules, would have been in your favor.
I don't know that it'll serve as any motivator, but, we did the necessary things to give ourselves a chance to win. We played detail in all 3 phases of the game. We played 60 minutes of ball. And that's what you better be prepared to do when you play New England.
Tom Brady's still going strong at his age. First of all, are you surprised at his age that he's still operating at the level he is?
I'm really not. Man, they do an awesome job of protecting him. He does an awesome job of protecting himself. I've heard stories about his ridiculous workout regimen and his commitment to his overall health and fitness. I think that the way the game is ruled out today makes it possible for quarterbacks to have more extended careers. He's not alone. You know, there's many quarterbacks now playing beyond their early to mid-30s, things that you didn't see 15, 20 years ago. So that's a very tangible thing and one that's not mystical in any way.
That combination, Brady to Gronkowski, has been one that has really victimized a lot of teams in the NFL. You guys have had trouble stopping big tight ends. What do you do this week? Is there a specific player you assign to him, or how do you try to slow that combination?
You know, like always, it's going to be a multiplayer job. There are going to be times that you're going to put people on him for a size matchup. There are going to be times that you put people on him for a speed matchup when he's going vertical. There's going to be times you need to put two people on him to disrupt the normal flow of what he does and what they do with him. It's a multi-person job anytime you talk about working to minimize a special guy. So it's one that we're familiar with, but we still got to execute.
It's amazing how the NFL never fails to disappoint when it comes to crazy plays. New England had one of those last week where it seemed like there's no way they're going to lose. The percentage index of them losing on that final snap was 1%. 99% chance they would win the game, and they didn't. When you looked at that play, what did you think?
You know, that's football, isn't it? You know, it really is. Oftentimes these games come down to a play or two. They do. You know, you look at our game, you know, if Juju's able to stay in bounds, he may go down that sideline. We had a play against the Dolphins at our place several years ago in the snow where AB had the ball in his hands on the last play of the game, running down the sideline. If he stays in bounds, he may go. I think that's what makes the National Football League what it is and so interesting, and that's why the fan engagement is what it is, because man, it's rough and tumble every week. It's nip and tuck, and games are going to come down to a sequence of events or one sequence. And obviously that's a special play, but I don't think any of us in this business are surprised and shocked by significant plays like that, particularly occurring at this time of year when there's a lot at stake.
The miracle in Miami, they're calling it. 2 laterals, boom, to the end zone. Gronkowski back there trying to make a tackle, loses a foot race. And that's how it goes in the NFL. It's always must-see TV. Steelers and Patriots tomorrow, 4:25. It will be must-see TV as well. When we come back, Missy, we'll talk to Mike Tomlin about the development of Vance McDonald. That's coming up later.
Yes, the Vanimals. Some of the veterans on the team have drawn comparisons of McDonald's play to former tight end Heath Miller. And he's not just hearing that from his teammates. And up next, even though Heath Miller hasn't played a down in 2.5 seasons, you still hear the Heath chant at every game. I asked the legend himself what he thinks of that.
The Steelers fans are great. After being away from the team in the game a while, it's certainly humbling.
The league considers rule changes annually. We want to keep the game competitively fair, and we just want to make the game as safe as we can make it. Recently, we expanded the horse collar tackle rule to not only include inside the collar, but outside the collar. Guys were being injured, so we expanded that rule. You talk to the players about why the rule is being changed, but then you also talk to your coaches about how it might change our instruction. You know, the game is evolving, and it's evolving for the better.
Heath Miller's 11 seasons in Pittsburgh may not earn him a spot in Canton, but it has earned him the respect and admiration of every Steelers fan. The respect Miller has with Steelers Nation is so palpable that it can be heard anytime a tight end catches a pass. And that Heath chant is a way that fans can pay homage to the tight end that was once referred to as Ben Roethlisberger's security blanket. For Alumni Weekend, Miller traveled from his home in Virginia to celebrate with his teammates for the 10th anniversary of Super Bowl 43, and we had the opportunity to catch up with number 83.
All right, Heath, update us. What have you been up to since you retired?
I've been spending a lot of time with my family. We have 4 children, so they've been keeping us pretty busy, and yeah, it's been fun. It's been a good few years to be away, but certainly miss being a part of the Steelers, but it'll always hold a special place in my life.
Do you watch a lot of football now that you're not, on the team anymore, or do you kind of just do other things?
I enjoy watching football. My sons enjoy it too. We'll watch the Steelers whenever we get the opportunity to. But at the same time, the weekends are busy for us, so we don't get to watch as often as we'd like.
Are all of the kids Steelers fans, or do they maybe like other players since at that age, they can like the superstars maybe of other teams?
Yeah, well, they're fantasy football guys, so they're fans of other players, but the Steelers are their team, and I don't think that'll change.
What is it like being able to reunite with teammates that you obviously don't get to see a lot, and just talk about those old memories, especially Super Bowl 43, which we're celebrating?
Yeah, I think I've seen a few guys so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone else this evening and tomorrow. And it's special, I think. You realize, we accomplished a Super Bowl, we won it together, and now you get to do fun things like this for the rest of the next few years.
Are there any teammates that you keep in regular contact with, just throughout normal life?
Yeah, there's a handful of guys. I think, we're kind of all in busy times with young families and staying busy, but I definitely try to keep in touch with a few guys.
Whenever you're watching games, I'm sure you can probably hear it on TV, but fans still chant Heath every time a tight end catches the ball. What do you think about that?
Well, I've been told that, and I think, the Steelers fans are great, and I've never been very comfortable with the attention, but after being away from the team in the game a while, it's certainly humbling, and to know how much they, I feel like, appreciated me as a player, and I certainly know that I adore the Steelers Nation and appreciate and respect them just as much as they do me.
Well, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Mike Tomlin Show presented by 84 Lumber. Before we say goodnight, though, let's get some final thoughts from the head coach.
All right, Missi, Heath Miller, always a popular draw when he comes back into town. Players know what he did. His career has been outstanding. So I'm curious, Vance McDonald, a lot of the players felt that he looks a lot like Heath Miller. He still has a long way to go before he puts up the kind of career, but what have you seen from Vance to make you think that, and is it a viable comparison to make?
I don't notice it's a fair comparison. Heath was a special guy, first rounder in the running in the passing game, played for over a decade. Vance really just getting started with us. He's got a lot of talent. He's done some really good things with the ball in his hands, particularly after the catch. He's a very combative runner, man, a guy that's got good vision and does some awesome things after the catch. We're excited about the trajectory of it, but I don't know that it's fair to compare him to the legendary Heath Miller. A lot of respect for Heath, and those guys learn a lot from an instructional standpoint. We use old Heath video as a teach tape, so I'm sure he's familiar with the comparison and the standard, and I'm sure he has a lot of respect for what Heath was able to do as well.
Coach, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for the Mike Tomlin Show. For Missi Matthews, I'm Bob Pompiani. Head coach Mike Tomlin and the Steelers take on the Patriots tomorrow on KDKA TV. Should be a great game at Heinz Field. We'll see you next Saturday right here for another edition of the Mike Tomlin Show presented by 84 Lumber. Have a good weekend.